Isidora, Sanja, and I, who will coordinate this group discussion, are suggesting that I will just shortly say who is actually officially participant in this discussion, and Isidora and I and Sanja will shortly introduce few of them with possibly comments or questions, if you agree. So, in our second session, we should meet with Melissa Bremer and Emil Heinen. They will, hi, welcome. They will join us. Their work is named Conceptual Artist Teacher, Teacher as Conceptual Artist. The second participant is Julien Strik, and you, Sanja, said that she is right now trying to connect with us. Okay, I don't know whether she's going to manage this or not, but we will suppose she is with us. Also, Dubravka Lazic, Department of Fine Arts. She will present experience of, actually not present, talk about experience of art practice in teaching theoretical subjects, photography and development of photographic medium. The fifth participant is Anna Golubovic. She researched children's drawings, and the name of her presentation was The Effect of Ostracism on Figure Size, Measured Through Young Children's Drawings in Serbian Urban and Rural Communities. And I'm at the end of the list. I had some presentation about, actually I presented a short and general study of effects of COVID crisis to creative capacities of students of art. So if you don't mind, we will not repeat what we already said. We are now trying to upgrade or give something new, build a dialogue between us. And I also welcome the silent participants who are not obliged to say silent. Please, you who are participating and present now, feel free to join the discussion whenever you want, or if you wish to comment or ask something, you are welcome. Isidora?
Yes, the college professor Melissa and Bremer and Professor Emil Heinen. The article opened a very important question. Does the teaching profession have to disrupt creative artistic practice? The paper offers a model for reducing the dichotomy between teacher and artistic professional identity. So can you tell us something about that? If you have more comments about your presentation, you're welcome.
Because Julien...
Hello! Here we are again.
Oh, perfect!
Welcome!
So, we'll start again. We wanted to thank the person who asked the question, Isidora. Thank you very much for reading our article and for your interest in our work, first of all. We're very happy to be here. I think it's an interesting question. It's about the identity of the teacher and the identity of the artist and how we kind of try to integrate it and the problems that arise. And I think it's good to know a bit about the background about how we teach our teachers in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, the teacher identity is really developed in different subjects. So you get developmental psychology, you get educational sciences in different subjects, and you get your practice as an artist in different subjects. And there's seldom a place within the teacher training where the two are combined or related. And because we saw that many teachers felt that their teacher identity was stronger and their artist identity tended to fade away as soon as they started teaching, we felt we wanted to do something about the integration. And that's why we used strategies that are known within more progressive pedagogy, but also are known in more contemporary art practice, and that kind of have an overlap. we trained our teachers differently in that way, and we gave them those strategies, and then they applied those strategies within the schools, and that actually made them feel, that made the artist identity stronger and better balanced in comparison to their teacher identity. Does that give an answer, or were you looking for a different answer?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, if you have some more comments, you are welcome. We have a time.
Yes.
2 minutes.
Well, what we found is that the strategies that were most common with the educational strategies, like co-constructing, working together, the teachers tended to use those the most because they felt the most comfortable with those strategies. But the very conceptual ones, where they would use the school as material, but in a more conceptual way, those were specifically more difficult for the students, especially for the music students. Wil je nog een aanvulling geven?
What's also important for the research is that we found that many teacher training programs don't address so much the integration of artistic and teaching practice, that they are often also in the universities very separate. Mm-hmm. And one of our main recommendations of the research is that we recommend actually teacher programs to find more overlaps in these two areas. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's an important one. Yeah.
And we also believe, because what we see with teachers, that the tension between the two identities that can arise really give people negative feelings, like I'm not a good enough artist, mm-hmm. I'm a lower rate artist, or I don't call myself an artist. And that actually why they became a teacher is because of their love for art, that they wanted to develop themselves as an artist. So I think it also keeps teachers longer within the educational setting, because they can actually live their artist identity within a school setting and not just outside the school.
Yeah.
Thank you, Isidora, and I agreed about some very basic things when planning this exchange interaction, but it happens that we both have the same comment on your work. Actually, the very important question of our social roles, which are somehow not integrated or not allowing people to use their broad human capacities, but being shared in a social role, like from this point till this point you're a teacher, and from that point to that point you're not teacher anymore, you're just artist. So if you're an artist, you can be teacher. You may, if you insist, but that's something, the role of law order, or if you are a teacher, then you are in some very, very strictly predefined concept called education. You don't have your too much space for your humanity, for your human capacities. How it seems to me the important question raised by your work is this: how to integrate our human capacities to be holistic and to be present personally in everything what we are doing, whether this is this or that social role. So I think it's very important question raised by your work. And also my question is, if you observe the changes in teachers through time, because you repeated this after a few months, how you see, what is the basic change? What is caused by this?
Yeah, what we saw is that it was quite a short period of time that we did, of course, so the changes were not too radical. Most of the participants had mostly experimented with a more social model of teaching. Working together with their students, for instance, was a mode that was used. So co-construction was something that they tried most in their lessons. But what we also saw that we have one of these modes that students work with is called school as material. And we saw that most of the participants had used this mode quite literally. So most of them had worked with materials that are available in the school, but what we challenged them to do was more to do something with the systems of a school, for instance, or with the political atmosphere in a school, to work with that. And most of them didn't succeed with that. So in a more general sense, we found that students had oriented, so for themselves, they found more balance between the different roles of teacher and artist, but this could have gone further if they would have been more experienced teachers, or if we had continued the process a little longer.
But what we also found interesting is that they allowed for their artist identity to be more present within the teaching, but this also changed their way of teaching to a more progressive form of teaching, so more process-oriented, giving more space for experimentation. So through that integration, their teacher identity also changed, and we thought that was a very interesting process to see.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this. Please stay involved in discussion. We will now go on, but you're always invited to add something if you wish.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Bojana?
Izvoli.
Our colleague, Professor Dubravka Lazic, I think she put some questions on our YouTube channel for Emiel and Melissa, or maybe we can have a short time for discussion, please.
Where are these questions?
Yes. Yeah. No, they're not questions. Can I say something? I mean, again, I don't think I said the question. I think I just made a comment, because the topic that you are dealing with is something really, really closely related to what I've been dealing with, actually, not just for this occasion, but in general, because I come from an artistic field and I consider myself an artist first and foremost, and then some kind of, let's say, scientist, or of course I'm a teacher all along. But this kind of duality, if I'm an artist, number one, and the teacher, number two, and the scientist, number three, or it's not even duality, it's like three things in one. This is something that was actually a topic that I chose for this occasion. And moreover, when I teach artistic subject and when I teach theoretical subject, those are the same students. And I have, to divide myself as an artist and a pedagogical worker, and also as a theoretician and another professor. So for me, it was really interesting what you did. And I enjoyed watching your presentation, really. And I think that I will gain some things, that I will benefit more definitely from it. So it was like more of a comment than a question. And I think the end of my presentation actually is a question that you maybe gave an answer to with your presentation. So it's interesting how, it goes around and around. So this was just a comment. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I'm still in this group.
Thank you very much.
If I have a need, I will just raise a hand, or I will just turn in my mic and I will say something. Okay.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
And we will look your presentation up, because that sounds really. And also,
it's a bit strict. I was trying to do the strict. Sorry, it's a bit strict presentation. Not as strict, but I was really trying to fit in this. Let's say scientific methodology kind of concept. So, well, you will get the point, because this is just one segment and one issue and one topic and one question that I was actually, taking in consideration when I was thinking about what am I going to present here, but this is just one small piece. And I think the main topic for me was this question of duality. How can one person do all these things in the same time with same students, with same people in one institution, and then just feel like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from occasion to occasion. That, a bit tricky.
Yes. And your colleague Andrea Palasti is also someone who is researching in the same area and same field. And,
yes.
And trying things out. Yes.
Yes, she actually was our ex-student. Now she's now a teacher. So you see how everything goes around.
Yeah, that's great. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Were there other remarks or questions?
We will leave time and space to create something new out of this meeting.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have any specific screenplay for this situation, and I think, and we are coming from many different backgrounds and many different professional positions, which is very good for creativity. That means, since we are so different, we have to influence each other in many unpredicted ways. So I believe we are all happy with this situation. I think Ghislaine is not here with us, no?
Then.
I hope you watched her presentation. She did something, actually she tried to express the concept of working with so-called marginalized group, migrants and people who are somehow socially not in very well position. And she involved music treatment and creative working with music. So it's very interesting. If some of you didn't see it, I invite you to see Ghislaine and her presentation. It's interesting. And since we don't have it here, Ghislaine, are you with us? No, she's not. Okay.
Ik ben even kijken.
The next is Professor Dubravka Lazic. No?
Okay.
It kind of fits. One topic is just going after the other. Well, first of all, hello to everyone, and thank you for the organizers for this very nice event. My presentation was somewhat similar, or the topic was similar to the first one we spoke about from the colleagues from Holland. And it was actually my personal experience or my personal question when it comes to dealing with teaching art subjects and theoretical subjects. And it's kind of strange because my personal background is also strange. I come from the field of fine arts. My bachelor studies were painting, and then I went to old master studies of photography, and then I finished the PhD in filmology. So I was kind of, mixing all the fields and all according to my own personal interest. But the main thing that I actually do is photography, and that's, I would say, this is my field of expertise. So I do feel mostly as an artist, and I teach photography as an art subject, but I also teach history of photography, which is theoretical subject, and I teach history of film, which is also theoretical subjects, and it is in the field of humanities. So for each of these different topics, I need to have different qualifications, and I have to present myself in a different way or prepare myself in a different way. But nevertheless, I use all the experience I have when it comes to preparing the topics and working with students and teaching and, just using the knowledge I have in the best way I can. But that was actually interesting when it comes to thinking about how you present yourself as a teacher to this same group of people through different subjects, through different methodological approaches, and is there anything that lies behind it? Can it be qualified? Can it be put in some kind of not statistics, but some kind of references that will be beneficial for somebody who will be later on in this same potential situation. I don't know. Because when it comes to art, I mentioned Joseph Beuys, everybody can be an artist, but when it comes to art and when you teach art, nevertheless, you're one person, of course, and you, in my opinion, you have to use your expertise and your experience and your knowledge and your artistic sensibility in every single topic that you teach, whether it's artistic or theoretical subject. So you just have to pay attention, of course, to the structure of the subject and to every other aspect of the curriculum or the teaching, not method, but teaching process. And this is what actually my presentation is about. So I just took two subjects, history of photography and photography. And I made some kind of comparison and I gave some examples of students' work. And that was actually it. At the end, I just made a conclusion about the question I already mentioned before. Can we make some kind of structure out of it that will be beneficial for every next generation of for professors or pedagogical workers who will be in this position? So I'm here to any questions you have or comments or whatever. But it's really, really interesting for me to see that other people are dealing with these topics as well.
Thank you. The paper provides explanation of individual segments provided by the curriculum in the context of teaching methods, form, teaching strategies. It is very important topic. So if somebody has some question, welcome.
What do you feel are the main differences? Where are they most different?
The biggest difference I see is in this practice that you do during the teaching itself. When I teach photography as an art subject, I approach each student individually as much as I can. We have small groups of students, 5 per year. So we more or less feel like a small family, which is also some kind of question that you have to also dig into. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? You cannot always be like a mother to everyone. But this is actually the biggest difference. So when I teach artistic subject, I feel more connected to them because it's individual approach. When I teach theoretical subject, those are the same students, the same group, but I address them all as a group. And really, really rarely I can use some issue, some topic that is, in the curriculum, to address them individually. And I use that occasions whenever I can, because I know them already as artistic individuals. So when I see an example that is within the history of art curriculum, for example, some artist, that I know that one of the students will benefit from knowing this artist per se, then I approach him individually. Of course, everybody else can also hear this, but this is, for me, this is the biggest difference. So I really, really have to change my shoes every time I teach one topic or the other. And it is a bit strange because, as again I said, these are the same group of people. When I teach larger groups, like history of film, I teach that at drama department, and the group size is about 35 students. I have to also distance myself from this approach that I have as a teacher of photography or history photography, because this is a totally different department, larger group, and still I know them individually, but not as good as I know all these other students from photography. So it's kind of playing, playing along on a piano. You have to watch out what your right hand is doing and what is your left hand doing when you have to put the accord of musician, you know what I'm thinking about? Like all the notes at the same time, or you have to make a solo performance or something like that. So I don't know if this explains, the way I'm playing my classes, but it's kind of summarize it in a way. And the one thing that I also remembered from your presentation, this let's say workshop that you did with students, I think that something like that will be also very good in not just my case, but in case of other professors who have this similar kind of problem, or at least those students, those professors who teach artistic subjects, because all of us, we have to approach students individually. And I think 2 weeks ago we had a workshop with an Austrian artist, Joachim Eckel, and I took part, and the two of us were working with students. It was like small group of students due to Corona and everything else. And at the end of the 4th day, they kind of loosened up, and they started explaining how they see teachers from their students' perspective. And it was really, really eye-opening for me, because I thought I knew them, and I thought that I was really, really close to them. And then it hit me that it's not the case. I mean, it is, but in a way, but I don't know all the things and all the issues that I should know. So what you suggest, what you did and what you presented with this workshop, I like very much, and I will think of how to maybe implement that in maybe next year, or some kind of extracurricular activity. And maybe I will contact you for a piece of advice, if you don't mind.
You are welcome.
And would it be possible to as you have two courses, a theoretical and a practical one, with the same group of 5 students? Couldn't you integrate them?
Yes.
Or is that something that's impossible at your place?
Well, that's another part of the story. We have to deal with curriculums, with classes, with schedules, with some kind of structure that is implemented by the law or the accreditation process or whatever else, which does not actually allow this kind of things. But in a way, you can, yeah. But you have to use your space and your time that you have that is available to you when you're working with students, to try to not mix the topics and not mix the subjects, but to mix some kind of experiences or theses that arrive from one corner and then use them into this another part. So theoretically, it's not possible, and this is also maybe a topic to discuss when it comes to this structure that is implemented by the law, the law of higher education, a law that you have to respect it, of course. This is also something that is affecting professors, and not affecting, but is, professors are due to abide, yeah. And you have also, you need to have references that are within your qualification field, and to teach the same field with your qualifications. I don't know if you understand me. So it's not just, this structure is not just something that is implemented when you're working with students, but it's also implemented when it comes to choosing a professor or a teacher who will teach this subject. So it is maybe a topic for next, discussion. It should exist, and it's, yeah.
We also feel it's
Sorry.
important, because from the educational sciences standpoint, if you teach subjects very separated, students will not automatically bridge the knowledge from one subject to another. And just from a more educational sciences perspective, it would be interesting to see how you can bridge theory and practice.
Well, I'm at your disposal. Whatever I can help, and I will give you my experience. I will be glad to do that. Happy to do that.
Thank you, Dubravka. Thank you all. I hope we will continue this discussion, but we have to make a little change in schedule, because Anna Golubovic is very short in time. So, if Anna, are you here? Oh, did she leave?
I saw her.
Yes, I'm here. No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, Anna. We are.
Hello.
Hi, Anna.
Can you hear me?
Welcome. Yes, we can hear you.
Hi.
Would you like to tell?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. Hi, my name is Anna Golubovic, and I studied at Faculty of Applied Arts at the Ceramic Department in Belgrade. And then I did my second master's studies at the Leipzig University for the early childhood research and development. And currently I'm working as a German language trainer in a multicultural kindergarten. So the study that I presented here was the extension of the study, which was part of my master thesis. And in that study, we investigated ostracism and how, what effect ostracism has on children that grow up in collectivistic societies. In the first study, we investigated the distance between two figures and how much time kids spent during the drawing, and also complexity of the drawings. And what was that was maybe affected by ostracism, or just in general, I wanted to see how children in Belgrade and in Kostolac and Požarevac are drawing and presenting themselves and their friends. So if you have some questions, I'm really open for them.
Thank you, Anna. I hope you have time for a few comments or questions if somebody wishes to comment. Maybe I can comment a little. I see that you are, first of all, I think it's very interesting. And I think it's interesting to do investigations like this, especially in this moment when we are not clear what is rural, what is urban community, because rural communities disappeared all around the world, so as well as in Serbia. So the differences between communities are more quantitative than qualitative. This is what you managed to find in your study. Why did you choose to measure ostracism? How I see, actually, you measured the size of the human figure on the drawings. You are directly relating this with ostracism. That could be only one indicator of ostracism among all others. So why did you choose this?
I choose, first of all, the study that we conducted. We measure other drawing elements, and somehow we didn't we didn't get results that we expected, which can happen sometimes in science. However, it was really our particular interest to see that children in Serbia reacted differently than children in Germany, because that study was the replication study of one conducted here in Germany. That's why they focused only on the elements that I already mentioned, but not the figure size. And I found the studies in other cross-cultural studies which investigated the figure size and how children position themselves in the society, and I found that really interested. So this study was explanatory, and I wanted to see if I will find some effect or not. And I also agree with you that today it's really hard to make the difference between rural and urban areas. And that's also one of limitation of the study that I mentioned. I was supposed to do some questionnaire with parents in order to see how if there is a difference between urban and rural. What was really interesting, that there was an effect of the city, but not on condition, and meaning that children in Belgrade were drawing bigger figures than children in Kostolac, which is a rural area. I would like also to investigate more on that topic, but for now, like those were the results that I found. I hope that I answered the question.
Of course, there are no real questions and real answers in a strict way. This what we have are developing the discussion. Do anybody else among us have some comments or questions to Anna's work?
I just want to say hello to Anna. She was my ex-student on Faculty of Applied Arts, and she is also a teacher of art. I'm very proud of her because she accepted that challenge to go to a very complex study on faculty in Leipzig, and she promote the art teaching in different angle, and I expect in the future many of very important results of investigations that she said that she planned with her colleagues, and I hope that she will come in Serbia and share that with students and teachers, and best regards for Anna. That is all what I want to say.
Thank you very much, Professor, for these lovely words.
Thank you, Anna. This is it.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, and I wish you a very nice day, but now I have to go back to my work.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Do we have with us Andrea Palaszti?
She will be on session 3 tomorrow, but we can discuss her work shortly if you.
She appeared with research named Pedagogy of Play in the project of home workouts, and she actually described the process of the project, how it was developed, and what are the effects of the project, and actually how I understood that. She developed some special and activistic approach in like an everyday homework with children, and it somehow it developed some new and artistic development of artistic idea based on education. First, in the beginning, it was education task, but little by little, it was developed in many different ways. And she is describing the process of development, which ended in an exhibition. It was based on ready-made projects and activities, and this final exhibition was held in Novi Sad, and the exhibition itself was not seen as a finished part of project, but some new steps because it was interactive. This is in general how I see Andrea's work. Dubravka, would you like to add something?
Yes, I would. As I said already, Andrea is ex-student. She actually studied photography. So I was her professor at photography and bachelor studies. And later on, she went to master studies of new media. It's a different study program. But also she finished a PhD in Belgrade in theory of arts. And I think she finished a DA in artistic field at the Academy of Arts. So she's actually a good example of what I was saying earlier, you know, how you can combine different approaches in one person. And I think that approach is actually very similar to my own, because I guess that what she did was somewhat similar to what I did. I was not really, I didn't have a strict path while I was, educating myself. I did not plan to go from painting to photography and then to filmology and dramatic arts. And humanities, but it was something that was interesting for me, and I wanted to develop myself in this way. So I guess that you can make some kind of comparison with her choices. she would answer this question more precisely than I am. But this is actually my point of view, and because I know her since she was a young student, and she was our student from the age of 18 or 19 years old. So it's interesting for me to see how she developed her own artistic personality, and also how she implemented that into her pedagogical work as a professor at the same academy where she started her basic education.
Thank you, Dubravka. It's always nice to see some activistic and new approaches in education, because it really gives us a space not only to upgrade in education, but also to change this general atmosphere which is all around us professionals in education, and which is how we see especially somehow challenging for artists, because people from science and from other sides could somehow cope with this pre-structured form of work, but people who are artists, they have problem with accommodating to such a strict system. So it's always good to find some way out of this position.
That's true.
I will say a few words about my work, and then we can go on with discussion. I did some short study with students of art, students of Faculty of Fine Arts in Belgrade, and students of Akademija of Arts in Novi Sad, in which I tried to summarize how they experienced COVID isolation and what did they see as most important, whether negative or both positive sides of this experience. What was also interesting for me was to somehow to find out what did they see as most important strategies for cope with this type of crisis, and how it reflected, how was it reflected on their artistic practice. Somehow I expected, basically I expected two things. Since my previous experience and my experience in working with students of art and artists, I was always fascinated by their ability to pass sometimes through very deep crisis, but to stay creative. It was, from psychological point of view, if you're in crisis, you're completely in crisis. If you're in negative emotions, you're completely in negative emotion. But somehow, artists and people who devote their life to arts manage to preserve some capacity, creative capacity, and not only to preserve it for bad times, but also to activate it and to transform it into capacity to overcome the crisis. And it was also mainly the basic findings of this research. What would I say? What was also important for me? There are some completely new aspects of this crisis. I've never met it before. I spent 27 years working with war-affected people, and hope to have, unfortunately, I do have a great experience in working with people in need and in very bad crisis, very bad social and psychological situation. But what is new for me was this aspect of when they describe what is the basic change which happened through this crisis. They said one change is that of course, they felt isolated and so on. That was expected. But what is new? Generally, they lost trust in media. They lost trust in authorities. They lost trust. They don't believe what is presented to them. If that happened 5 years ago, and if I read it on works of my students, I would say you're paranoid clients, something going on. But the time has changed, and this paranoia actually, what what could be paranoia only a few years ago became the part of our life. That's new. They don't believe information, and they somehow realize that they are responsible for reconstruction of the reality they live in. That was surprise for me. Another aspect, if we talk about positive aspects of crisis, is that their responses are well balanced. This is how I see them, although it was qualitative research. They see both bad and good sides. And of course, bad side is stronger in this situation. But if you manage to see something good among the bad, then you are supporting your resilience, and you have much, much better chances to cope with the crisis and to preserve your creative capacities, however it looks like when you look it from outside. And what was also new for me is that most of them realized the importance of seeing themselves from within, because we all know that we are living in how should I say, extroverted world. We are always defined from something out of us. We are defined by our friends, by our partners, by our salaries, by our social positions, by our look, by our property. We are defined. And somehow we are always in danger to forget who we really are. And this situation, in one of its most important aspects, made people think about themselves, made students thinking about themselves. Who am I really? In order to do that, they mention an introspection, experiments with creative work. They changed the style, they changed the media they worked with. They became more and more involved in their own imagination, in their own expectations, in their own needs. So at the end, what was important for me to see is what my practice taught me. If you cope with the life, you need to have this, how should I say, force of resilience within yourself. You have to find the strategies. My strategy to be resilient is not good for other people. We have to build our own individual strategies, and creative people see creativity as one of most important strategies, not only to be resilient, but to be complete human being, to be expressed in its broad capacities. Okay, it's a big story, but this is just the beginning, how they see the crisis. They stay creative, but they are much, much more wise than they have been before this crisis. Okay, that's from me in short, this story.
Thank you, Van.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, now if anybody wishes to comment or to not last presentation, but all the ideas, maybe you heard something which is important for you, you are now welcome to join us.
Well, I can only say something. It's interesting, of course, it's very aktualna tema, a contemporary subject and contemporary issue. And what was very important to us as art professors throughout the last year was this question, how Corona and epidemic situation affected this kind of teaching process when it comes to teaching art. I just have to remind you, we have also music department when teachers are performing their lessons one-on-one with one student. So acting, of course, is another topic, and fine art, when you have to really, really approach the student individually and directly in person. So it's also maybe a thing to address in some future, how this Corona affected artistic process, artistic teaching process. Okay, can I say something? Okay. So I think it's very, very important what you said, Bojana, that to put two things together, that on one hand, the students lost the trust in the authority and started to question everything. And I think this is a deeply creative stance, because a creative stance is not trusting authority or not trusting what defines you from outside, but really trying to deal with your subjectivity. And this ambivalent position of being able to at the same time like throw everything in the air and say, let's start from scratch. I will reconstruct everything on my own, on one hand. And on the other hand, what I was doing in my presentation in the last session, a teacher's ability to give license to the student to be like that and not to be considered either wrong or mentally troubled or something like that, but as a place from which creativity starts. And not only creativity, but the subjectivity. And it was so clear in the way how you said it. Dealing with your own self is at the same time questioning everything else. And we give license to the artists, and I see that also again in Dubrovka. Dealing with each student individually means actually being interested in them as they are, different from everyone else, and giving them license to be who they are, and recognizing, not only recognizing, but being interested in what they have to say and bring to the situation, as opposed to a place where you just, I'm going back to Dubrovka, you just have to transmit some very known truths to them regardless of what they think, where you then disconnect with the individuals and they are not anymore in the focus, and it's not anymore important what they feel and think and why. So I think that education is real education is when there is this license of people to question the world and to say, well, I have to create the meaning for myself. And that's the very creative position. And and in that sense, both teacher and the student have to be creative. I also want to just quickly mention Emil's and his colleagues' presentation, teacher as a conceptual artist, because conceptual art is in a way an art that uses concepts as its material, like photography uses lights as its material, and other arts use light or pigment or whatever as a sensory material. Conceptual art uses our concepts as its artistic material. And in another study, I also with Eugene Matusov talked as a teacher, as a conceptual artist, not as an artist who, not for the purpose of putting together your teaching and your being artist, but an artist that plays with concepts that we have, giving license to the students to be confused as something very good, because at that moment of confusion, you start questioning, like, wait a minute, like, what? And that's what creates creativity in a way, when you can kind of really, and Corona in that sense, what you said, Bojana, put all of us in that position. Not only Corona, but the way how it was treated, of course, by the authorities and the media and everything, and how it became a contentious question, but so very important for saving our lives, put us all in the position to be creative in a way. First time when it happened to me in that kind of sense was during our unfortunate 90s, when I started not trusting any media about what they were reporting, and I was here in the United States, about former Yugoslavia. And I was trying to read all the sources, Russian and American and French and Serbian and Croatian and whatever you have, and to reconstruct for myself what is going on. And that, I think, is what Corona is doing now to many, many people, because all around the world, we are in a similar kind of like a really wrenching situation. In education, if you exclude the reality of the world, but in education in itself, that wrenching position is I think, a gift to the teacher and to the student, because this is the moment of the creativity that reconstruct not only the world, but the subjectivities of people and makes them whole. And I think that that's what you were talking about, just that much.
Thank you, Anna. When Boana talk about the research, I just think, well, it is good for young people to not to trust the media, but I wasn't so great to say that because I'm afraid because of my English, could I explain? But thank you. You said everything.
Thank you.
I would invite anybody else, if you have any idea or comment, we can continue. We can talk about previously expressed ideas. You are welcome.
Can I just say one thing? I love this license to question the world. I mean, this is the great motto. And I think all art should be like that. And professors, of course, have to give to students this kind of, not freedom, but it's like an input to them. And I know that is what's happening for sure, at least with majority of my colleagues. Bosit Kazirevic-Lečić, she will be tomorrow with her presentation. And this is for sure the motto that she uses, I use, or I say majority of other colleagues do. And this is really, really very important when it comes to teaching art. Thank you.
While I was listening to you as psychologist, I was thinking, you, Emil, and you, Dubravka, and people you talk about, I was thinking all the time, maybe how could I make a conceptual art out of my life? And you gave me idea. And what if I transform my friendship into conceptual art? What if I become a conceptual artist in my relation? You gave me a lot of good ideas. I hope we gave you some of them. Okay. Anybody else, if you wish to say something, please feel welcome. We have a few more minutes.
We just wanted to say this was a very special event for us. It was the first time that we were presenting in Novi Sad. And I think it's always interesting to hear perspectives from different countries to broaden your own perspective. So also from Emil and me, a huge thank you to the organization and to making this possible.
You are welcome too, and I think we should mention Sanja Filipović again, who is the conceptual artist behind all this happening. Okay.
For more materials, yeah.
Thank you, Boana, and thank you to our colleagues that participate in this meeting. It was one night when I slept, and it was a beautiful dream that we can make in this very difficult pandemic situation, the meeting like this one, and to share not only our experience and knowledge, but good energy and hope that we can go on. And I'm very grateful for everybody that participate. Dear Anna, you was plenary today. It was 4 o'clock in the morning in Philadelphia. And also, I think that you have some interesting situation about the weather. If I understand,
There is a solar eclipse.
Eclipse, yes.
Yeah, partial solar eclipse. I have my prepared my viewer to that. I cannot show you because on the camera you wouldn't see anything, but it's very exciting. I thought it will be cloudy, but fortunately it's not cloudy. It's not in Philadelphia. It's not going to be a whole solar eclipse. It's partial, so it looks like kind of like a sickle, a little bit. Not yet. You can see that there is a lot of light now. When we started, it was 4 o'clock. It was totally dark. You could have watched me. Now it's almost 7 here in the morning, and the solar eclipse started about an hour ago, and probably is going away now. So when I was leaving and coming, I was trying to see from a higher window in my house what's going on. Very interesting.
Okay, so this is a good sign, as Professor Kudryavtsev said.
Anna, if we lose video from you, we will know what's going on. The sun is turned off in your country, but only in your country. Okay, Krasimira, we are listening.
There is a lot of sun here.
Yeah, well, actually, one can also observe it.
If you become dark, we will know what's going on.
Oh, you can. Where are you, Krasimira?
I'm in Denmark. So I
are
mean, if it was not as cloudy, you could probably see it.
Yeah, you are on the path there, yes.
Yeah. But I wanted to say that I find the format really, really nice, because what we are lacking in the digital conferences is exactly the possibility to sit together and discuss the things. Mm-hmm. So I think what you decided to do, to have the presentations uploaded somewhere where you can watch them, and instead have the time to discuss the questions one has. It was a brilliant idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krasimira. Thank you, everybody. Sanja, would you like to add something? Or this is the beginning of the end. This is the end of beginning. No. We are going on as an artist and as a human being.
Okay. I think that Anna gave us the conclusion. Her last words was the answer for many questions that we open today in this and the previous session. So this is it. I think we can finish with good energy and hope that Corona will pass very fast. Thank you. Yes.